Hello and welcome to Walking the Weird. Today I've come to sunny Somerset in the south of the UK to have a look at Nunney Castle, which was built in 1373, and also the Church of All Saints in Nunney, which is 12th century. So without further ado, let's go and take a closer look. In the sleepy, quintessential village of Nunney in Somerset stands the stark ruins of a 13th century castle. Nunney Castle was built in 1373 by Sir John de la Mare, who was an English knight. He was granted permission to build the castle after his efforts in the 100 Years' War. The castle was a symbol of the rise in de la Mare's status, particularly within royal circles. Nunney Castle's French style was inspired by de la Mare's personal experiences in military campaigns overseas. The castle was built to a four-lobed plan and encircled by a moat. It had 3 floors and consisted of a kitchen, a grand hall, several bedchambers and a chapel. Nunney Castle passed down through the de la Mare family until it was sold in 1578 to Richard Prater. The castle offered the family sanctuary during the English Civil War, but in September 1645, a parliamentarian army led by Oliver Cromwell and Lord Fairfax stormed into Somerset and took control of Nunney Castle. Richard Prater, whose sympathies lied with the king, refused to surrender the castle. The parliamentarians opened fire on the north side of the castle, severely damaging the wall. Prater held strong and even mocked the invaders by hoisting a Catholic crucifix flag above the castle. After a few more days of heated battle, the castle was taking too much damage and Prater and his men were forced into surrender. Sadly, in the following years, the castle was abandoned and fell into a terrible state of disrepair. It was taken into state guardianship in 1926 and some restoration work began. Nunney Castle is now under the ownership of English Heritage and is free for all to visit. In 1642, the English Civil War broke out between Parliament and the King. Richard Prater, who was the current owner, like most Catholics, lent his support to the cause of Charles I. Prater prepared Nunney for attacks from parliamentarians, and he opened the castle to Catholic refugees. So, under the ownership of Richard Prater, he redeveloped a lot of the castle and he installed larger windows, a grand staircase and even a Catholic altar for worship. You can certainly imagine how grand it would have been in its day. Although Nunney Castle's defence system was pretty simplistic, this moat at one point would have held 10 feet of water, which would have given those in the castle just enough time to prepare for any oncoming sieges. So is it haunted? That's the question. I mean, we still don't know, we never will know probably, but there have been many paranormal investigations carried out here at Nunney Castle. Disembodied voices can be heard and the clash of armour. And nearby, on the road between Frome and Nunney, there's a folklore about a ghost a hitchhiker dressed in 1970s clothing who mysteriously vanishes. So there's an interesting piece of local folklore here about this beam that you can see attached from the George pub, which is a 17th century coaching inn, and this house. Just bear with, car going past. So apparently the coaching inn, the George, used to be also judges' courthouses, and the beam was used to hang those that had committed crimes. So if anywhere is going to be haunted, I think this might be the spot. Okay, so now I'm going to have a little explore of the Church of All Saints here at Nunney. This is a 12th century church, and John de la Mare, the knight who built Nunney Castle, is buried here. So let's go and take a look. What a beautiful little church. So we've got that very interesting font there, with the cone on top. I walk down the nave. There's the pulpit. And then through here looks like the chancel. It's got one of these rood screens here, which separates the chancel from the nave. The nave being a public area, the chancel being somewhere a bit more spiritual and quiet. Let's have a look. It's possibly quite hard to see in the light, but you've got these ledger tombstones here as well. So to be buried within the church at the chancel end would have meant that you were either a vicar or someone of great importance to the parish. It's quite the privilege. So I found the effigies. So on the windowsill there, that's Sir John de la Mare, and he was the one who built Nunney Castle. He died in 1383. On the left here you've got Richard Prater and his wife next to him. And on the right it says Sir John Paulet, who died in 1437, and his wife Constance. He wears full armour. His surcoat is emblazoned with the de la Mare lions, and round his neck the Lancastrian collar of SS. These are amazing, aren't they? Oh yeah, I see a lion here. And on his chest. And on his thigh. There's his wife, Constance. Doesn't say who Richard Prater's wife, what her name is. Mrs. Prater. Amazing. And they're resting upon this tomb filled with intricate carvings. It's beautiful. All these ledger tombstones, there's so many of them all the way down the nave. Such a charming little church, it really is. You've got aisles that were added later on for the growing community. The chancel in the east. Just beautiful. And I just read on the information boards, of which there are plenty here, that the font is actually Norman. So Norman origins to this church. And the first thing you see when you come outside of the church is this stunning, stunning tomb. Okay, that's creepy. Let's have a look. Beautiful. There's an effigy in there, I think. Oh, here comes the rain again. There's a theme for me when I'm in churchyards, it seems to rain. I'm just walking around outside and you can see these old doorways that have been sealed up and moved, no doubt, as the church expanded over the years to fit the new congregation. Well, thank you all so much for joining me here at Nunney in Somerset today. I do hope you've enjoyed looking at both the castle and the Church of All Saints. Please do consider liking and subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you all again, and I'll see you again on the next Weird Walk.